In 1969, a group of astronauts changed the world. They walked on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In 1972, our journey ended. We've never been back. 2010 begins a year of change. Private companies are working on next-generation spaceships. Governments are looking to go back to the moon and on to Mars. It's time to look up and dream again. It's time to push humans into the cosmos. It's time to educate and engage the planet. It's time for Spacevidcast.
Welcome to this news-packed episode of Spacevidcast 326 for Friday, August 6th, 2010. My name is Benjamin Higginbotham. With me, as always, is beautiful, lovely, wonderful, and talented Carrie Ann Higginbotham. We are your Spacevidcasters, and we're going to start off this episode with something that has been making the rounds in the media a little bit. They've been a little bit overly dramatic about it, and so we decided, you know, if you can't beat them, join them. It's trouble on the ISS.
In 1969, a group of astronauts changed the world.
You can't have swap mode on, because now when you go back... Ooh, you know, we're just going to keep going. So, if you haven't heard, the International Space Station, Loop A, or...
Lupe.
Cooling,
Like
ammonia cooling...
Guadalupe.
Ammonia cooling has suffered a failure, and
Yes.
they've actually got spare tanks. They've actually got four spare ammonia tanks,
Yeah.
and they're going to be swapping one of those out over the next couple of days with these spacewalks. And the reason this is a big deal is in space you need to kind of cool your equipment and whatnot.
Well, because I said, isn't it cold in space?
Well, it's cold and hot. It's both very cold and very hot in space. So what you need to do is be able to cool your equipment and make sure that everything's all temperature controlled. So
Right.
they use the ammonia lines. They've got these ammonia lines that they use as a way to dissipate heat and as a way to kind of do heat rejection. So we've got a shot. This is the this is one of the spare tanks that they've got, and you can click the thingy. There you go. Spare pump module. There you go. And then you can actually see, here's another shot that shows where they're going to be installing the tank. This is the replacement tank that they'll be going to. So you can see it's going to be going, there's the replacement pump module. That's going to be going right down there. And then we've got two spacewalkers. We've got, I've completely forgot their names.
Wow. I bet it'll say in the picture if Kath just clicks on it.
Drop the graphics and go to there.
There you go. There's this guy.
I don't remember
There's
his
this
name.
guy. There's the IRC guy.
Drop the IRC.
And then there's the Twitter
Douglas,
guy.
is Douglas,
They do have names.
they do have names. No, wait, hang on. Go to the next picture. This is the best part. Look, she's like, why?
Super serious.
Look at that. She's like, don't take my picture.
Poor thing. Yes,
why,
it
why
is
are you taking my picture?
Tracy and Wheels, as most people know them as.
So they'll be going out. They're going to be fixing the ammonia pumps. Like I said, there are four spare units. It is kind of a big deal, though, right? I mean, you don't want to have this stuff fail. They actually had to shut down some systems on the ISS
Right.
when the problem first happened. I think it was this last Saturday, going into Sunday, essentially. And so, yeah, they're going to be. They pushed back the spacewalk to Friday, which is today, I guess. Kind of depends what time zone
So
you're in.
spacewalk went great.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's what's going on with the space station. That's trouble with the ISS on that one. All right, moving on. What's the next story?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's totally my fault. So we got this question through Twitter the other day, and so I figured...
A question.
I did answer it via Twitter, but I thought it's kind of an interesting thing, and maybe people would want to know about it. And they were asking about a playlist for the NASA wake-up calls for when people are on the ISS or on the shuttle and whatnot. So I actually found this PDF, and I'll throw it into the chat room, and then we'll have to put it into the
Oh, chat for chat, you know.
into the show notes. There you go. And it's a history. The PDF has got the entire, well, not the entire, but the majority of the. I can't talk.
The majority of the almost list of wake-up calls.
Yes, that one.
You're welcome.
Well, the thing is that it started back in.
why I'm here.
There's no listing for any of the Mercury wake up calls because there was no need. So it starts in Gemini. There are a couple of DoD missions where there's no information because there's no information allowed on those particular missions.
What's the wake-up call? You cannot know that! That is classified!
God forbid. So, I mean, there's a couple of exceptions like that. But the majority, though, from Gemini on, the wake-up calls, there is a list telling you. And for a lot of them, it tells you who it was for, who the wake-up call particular song was for, which I thought was kind of cool. And it has been updated up to 6/7 of 2010. So it includes the ISS 132 ISS, STS-132 mission as well.
Cool.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool.
We also wanted to talk about an upcoming conference, which is going to be the Awesome.
Yeah, it is.
This is the next
And
Space
we have quite
Up.
a few participants from the last one in the
Yeah,
room
and if
right
you went to
now.
if you went to Space Up San Diego, you need to seriously consider going to Space Up DC. If you haven't, I know a lot of them have already signed up and will be flying over from one to the other, even if you're not local. Now, I realize bar camps are designed to be local events, right?
Right.
Right,
But we're
but-
trying to get these things off the ground.
But at the
and-
same time, these are smaller niche space communities. You know, with a bar camp, there's so many more techies out there than there are
Spaceys?
Spaceites.
all I know is I need a Kevin Spacey shirt now.
Yep. But there are a lot more techies out there, so it's a lot easier to have those local events. With the Space Up conferences, I would argue, at least just to get us started until we do change the hearts and minds of the entire planet, which, by the way, doing.
Will happen.
You know, try to make it to as many Space Ups as you can. And there was a lot of stuff that happened in this last Space Up. It is an epic, awesome, epic of epicness show that is completely epic. How's that? Check out this fun little video.
You're probably wondering what the heck Space Up DC is. Well, it's an unconference. Maybe that's not so helpful. Let's try pretty pictures. We've all been to conferences before. At most conferences, someone who's an expert stands on a stage behind a podium, something like that, and you're an audience member. They give you information, you listen. Then you go out in the hallway. You get some coffee, you talk on your cell phone and pretend to be important, and every once in a while, you talk about your ideas on those presentations with other people you met at the conference. And every so often, what happens in the hallway ends up being more important than the sessions themselves. The hallway is where you create the action and movement based on what you've heard. So we were thinking, why not make those hallway conversations the point? That's where an unconference, or bar camp as they're sometimes called, comes in. The entire unconference is ad hoc. Each morning, we'll start with an empty session grid. There will be some breakout rooms, and you put your presentation idea, topic, round table session, whatever, on a sticky note, and you put it on an empty grid. You can haggle time slots, combine similar ideas into a single session. Go crazy. That's what ad hoc is. At the end of every session, you go back to the grid, you haggle some more, and decide where you're going to go participate next. If we're doing it right, you should be a little bit uncomfortable. At this unconference, you'll have to do things like, participate and have something to say. Okay, so that's all cool. What kind of things do we talk about? Literally anything related to space. Anything. Don't put limits on yourself or others. This is the place to have crazy ideas. And every once in a while, crazy ideas work. At the first Space Up in San Diego, some of the topics included, ITAR sucks. What are we going to do about it? A rocket to the edge of space in our backyard. How to build a space cannon. Let's hope we don't poke any eyes out. Building cheap avionics with off-the-shelf parts. That was actually presented by SpaceX, which was pretty cool. There were some video presentations of the Northrop Grumman Lunar Lander Challenge, including some pictures of a very large check, which we all wish we had. There was a moon pie eating contest. You know, moon pies, food, you know, and fun. Remember fun? Dave Maston had a presentation called How Are We Going to Get My Butt to Mars? We included it here just because we wanted to say butt. A number of our friends from NASA came, and they presented some of their ideas on Open NASA before Open NASA was even announced. Some of those ideas that were discussed were incorporated into the Open NASA plan. Okay, so now that we know what we're going to talk about, or what we might talk about, who should attend? We're interested in anyone who's interested in space exploration in any capacity. We're looking to put people together who might not otherwise get to meet and talk about ideas. You know, kids, moms, CEOs, space nuts, rocket scientists. Everyone is invited. And we really mean it. If you know any unusual beings like Martians, artificial intelligences, future robot overlords, politicians, or sea monsters, and they can get through customs, by all means, bring them along. A few years ago at TED, Burt Rutan said, "It's not good enough to have a generation of kids who think that it's okay to look forward to having a better version of a cell phone with video in it. They need to look forward to exploration. They need to look forward to colonization. They need to look forward to breakthroughs." And the sad reality of today is our kids are bored with space. Are you kidding me? It's freaking space. You know, rockets and fire and Martian soil and pew, pew, pew. But they'd rather play video games if you ask them. We're not okay with this. So we're going to try something new. Space Up DC is an experiment in itself. You know, we can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. We need to reach higher. We need to build an epic future. And it all starts here. Join us at spaceupdc.org.
And Spacevidcast will be there, and we hope to see you guys there too. And they are the most fun you will have. It is an unconference, so you're not bound by normal conference rules. And one of the conference sessions was that moon pie eating contest.
Yes.
Which was pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome.
So make it to Space Up DC. Don't be like, well, I can find a way and make it to Space Up DC. It's going to be an epic, awesome of epicness. And I think that video is really good, but I think we need to do just a completely and totally over-the-top video for them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like meteors flying, crashing, explosions, it's going to be great.
We totally do.
On that note, speaking of over the top, I think there's more trouble on the ISS.
What the hell is that?
It's the ISS.
Are you sure?
It's the ending shot of the ISS.
Because good God, did you get close enough?
Can we get? Oh, there we go. All right.
ISS! ISS! ISS!
That's pretty much what it was.
That's pretty
Now
awesome.
we're trying to be as dramatic as possible. All right.
It does almost look like Mir when you're that close. Thank you.
Space debris is an ongoing issue.
Yes.
And I always love to put up the emergency. Actually, a while ago, there was an evacuation of the ISS to the Soyuz escape capsule because some debris got too close to the ISS. And it doesn't take a lot. I mean, it takes, I forgot what the real number is, but we'll call it a 1-inch object that can just rip a hole right through the International Space Station. You're like, oh, what? That can't happen.
Right.
No. Well, you got to remember, the ISS is flying by at 17,500 miles an hour. You get a piece of debris that comes by in another direction at 17,500 miles an hour. That's what is that? 33,000 mile an hour impact that just happened. Yeah, a little 1-inch thing that can cause a lot of damage. It's gonna go right through the ISS. Depressurization and badness. So space debris is a big deal, and they will do avoidance maneuvers to get out of the way, and they can track some of the bigger stuff, but the smaller stuff they have a harder time with.
Right.
So you know that Chinese.
Smaller.
Remember that Chinese satellite that they decided to blow up? They shot a missile up there, and they're like, "Look at our awesomeness! We can blow stuff up." And we were like, Thanks for that. You shot it above the ISS. It's going to float in. Yeah, so that's going to be coming closer than 5 miles or 8 kilometers. How soon do you know? Did you?
Actually, well,
Now?
now.
Dum, da, dum, da, dum, dum.
Yeah, no, it's been determined that no crew action is necessary at that point. That it's far enough away. That
5
it's,
miles. I don't think
it's-
they actually sound the alarm tails within a 1 mile barrier.
Right, exactly.
But it's going to stay 5 miles away?
Right. We originally thought earlier today, we thought that it was going to be closer, but it's been determined that no action is needed. Although, again, much like our open to this particular story, many other news stations will make it sound like all of the space junk is bound together and created its own International Space Station to collide with our original International Space Station.
It's a living being now. The space junk has combined together to form a new life entity known as
Pretty much.
space junk.
Yes, space junk. But that's not what's going on. It's a little piece, and it's far enough away that they don't have to worry about it, and everyone's cool, and we're awesome, and we're good.
But speaking of, they've come up with an interesting new way to get rid of space junk because
Yes.
you can't just shoot the space junk out of the sky because what you shoot it with, there's going to be an equal. You can't just shoot it with something that's going to push backwards that way, and that's going
Right.
to create. Oh, space junk. So you cleaned up some space junk by creating space junk. That doesn't work so well.
Right.
So you need some way to drag the space junk down, drag it down, pull it down to the Earth without having to fire anything at it.
Right.
And you can't really use nets because you'd have to it'd be incredibly inefficient. You'd have to catch up to it and then So there's this new gold space junk remover.
Right. GOLD stands for Gossamer Orbit Lowering Device.
Or gold.
Thanks for that. So, it's a football field-sized balloon made of gossamer thin but super tough material, kind of like solar sails, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. It'll be flown into orbit deflated in a suitcase-sized box that you kind of see on the left-hand side there.
This is a brilliant idea, by the way.
This makes so much sense, it's not even funny.
You attach the suitcase to the space junk that you want to pull down.
Yep.
You inflate the balloon, essentially.
Yep.
It creates more drag.
Yep.
So there's more mass for it to start pulling down. It slows down and gets sucked into our atmosphere and pulled back down into Earth.
And then burnt
And
in
then
our atmosphere.
burnt. Imagine popping that balloon.
How awesome.
Wouldn't that be fun to pop that balloon? Just boom!
Football field-sized. Football field.
So it'd be poo.
It's as big as one football field.
Pew, pew, pew,
A
pew, pew. You gotta shoot
whole
it. Pew, pew, pew.
Football field. The whole thing. Not just a little bit. Like the whole thing.
That's a pretty big balloon.
Anyway, but yeah, no, it is really a brilliant idea that just
The only
came out.
downside is they have to fly an astronaut up to go the entire time.
really
Yeah.
blow on this for the next 15 years. Ready, go.
It's got one of those little foot pumps. You
What-
gotta-
One of those. Anyway, so but it is. It's quite brilliant and really it's very green technology. What am I trying to say?
I don't know. Use your words.
I apparently am not very good at that right now.
Moving right along.
Yep.
All right. We've got free tickets to see Space Shuttle launch. There are only 2 Space Shuttle missions remaining.
There's this many.
There are, 2 Space Shuttle missions. So, all right, there's on the books. We've got STS-133,
Yes.
STS-134.
Yes.
And then we've already had the last mission of Space Shuttle Atlantis on STS-132, but we could have the last
mission of
the final last mission of Space Shuttle Atlantis with
Right.
STS-135. That's not yet on the books. That's not yet official. It's looking more and more like it will be.
Right.
But until it is actually official, we really only have 2.
Yes.
133 and 134. So you definitely want to get down for a Space Shuttle launch. If you've never seen a Space Shuttle launch before, make it happen. Once again, much like Space Up DC, no excuses. You can make this happen. If you put your mind to it, you can do anything. Get down there, find a way to watch a Space Shuttle launch. You've got 2-ish chances left to do this.
2-ish.
Now, if you can't afford to do it, you may be in luck.
Because the Space Coalition is giving away 2 tickets. The only caveat about these 2 tickets is that
Caveat?
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 really, did I just caveat?
You said
I need to
caveat.
stop. Apparently, I'm done. Anyway, the only string attached to these 2 tickets is that they will not fly you down or up or around from wherever you are. These are just tickets to get you into the KSC Visitor Center and on site for public viewing. So there's that.
Which is going to be hard to do for 133, 134, because they're the last missions of the space shuttle.
Right. Caveat. That's going to bother me because I know that word. Anyhow, the point is that it's very easy to enter. All you have to do is go to spacecoalition.com.
Oh, we should have like that text, like the, just scrolling up the screen slowly, like a really fine legal print.
Right. That would be cool. But anyway, you go to spacecoalition.com and they're running this thing called Explore Our Space. And they really want you to get to know their website. And so you just have to answer 5 really quick, very easy questions. And they, as far as I can tell, they don't really care if you answer correctly or not. So you could just go through and just answer them. So there's that. And everyone...
True, false, true, true.
Pretty much everybody gets what they call a digital prize package, which includes some space-themed icons and wallpaper to customize your computer background. But I will have you know they are Windows icons only.
Wycons.
Yes, although teachers do get the above prizes and then can request a free copy of the NASA Education Resources CD, which is really cool.
Boring.
If you're an educator, though, that is kind of cool. And then everyone is entered into the drawing to receive 2 IMAX movie tickets redeemable at any IMAX theater of your choice.
Also awesome because then you can watch that IMAX movie that I've just forgotten the name of.
Hubble? Really?
Hubble's gotcha.
And then the grand prize is 4 tickets to view the launch of STS-133, which is Space Shuttle Discovery, tentatively scheduled for November 1st, 2010. So there you go. Really quick, easy, simple way to.
Now I got Hubble got you stuck in my head.
Yes, as
Hubble
well.
got you.
As well you should, really. And going up on STS-133, speaking thereof.
Oh, Robonaut. Dear
Yep.
Lord, I did not get that transition at all. Not at all.
Awesome.
Yep.
I'm trying
so,
to set you up, and it's just not happening.
Robonaut, which, do we still have the graphic that has the countdown for Robonaut up there somewhere on one of those? I don't know if we do.
Probably not. It
No.
wouldn't be running,
No,
though, would it?
no,
So it
don't
wouldn't
worry about
matter.
it. We started the unofficial Robonaut countdown. They said 1,000 days, and so we were like, and they were like 1,000 days from when the mission gets approved. And we were like, when the mission
Whatever.
gets approved, how about when Spacevidcast says you go? And so we started the countdown for them.
For Robonaut to go to the moon. But
Yeah,
this
we're
is
like
Robonaut to the
we're like a little
ISS.
over 900 days, for the Robonaut to go to the moon. But on STS-133, they are sending Robonaut to the International Space Station.
Right.
Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure the Cylons are about to take over the space station because we're going to have Robonaut up there and we're going to have Dexter up there.
They're going to high five.
Yeah. Acha!
Oh, goodness. But coming up before STS-133 is your chance, everyone's chance, to speak with Robonaut, or R2 as he's commonly known.
Hello.
Wow. You can submit your answer or questions via Twitter at 10 a.m. on August 4th. Wait, that already happened. Never mind. I'll keep my mouth shut.
What? Oh yeah, that was yesterday.
Yep.
Up until August 4th?
Awesome.
Did we
I said-
really just do that?
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I can't believe I did. Well, no, I can believe I did that because that's how my whole night apparently has gone. You can still talk to R2, I'm sure, if you tweet him.
Regardless,
on Twitter.
Robonaut is really cool because they're gonna hopefully and if you know some way to make this happen, figure out how to make this happen. We want to get Robonaut to the moon because Robonaut's home is on the moon and he's homesick right now. And we want to get Robonaut back up there so that because it's got the cool little like 3D.
From the moon.
He was born of Earth but is from the moon.
He's
Wrap your head around that one.
for the moon.
He does need a Falcon 1E, absolutely. And by the way, speaking of, and we're going to close the show out with this, it's not 100% confirmed, but it sounds like we're going to be able to interview his awesomeness. I called him the Muskinator, but she hated that. Elon Musk, this Monday. They're telling me it cannot be a live interview, so all right. Submit your questions to us. Submit them via Twitter, so at Spacevidcast or hashtag Spacevidcast, whatever. or send it to me in email, Benjamin@Spacevidcast or Carrie-Ann@Spacevidcast. And if you've got a question that you want to ask the Muskinator, let me know. That really doesn't work, does it?
No,
We need a
it
new
really
one. He needs
doesn't.
like an epic superhero name. What can we do to make him like, he needs like a cape.
Tony Musk.
Saving space.
Yeah.
But
yeah, something.
email us your questions. Ask, what questions do you want to ask of SpaceX? Where are they going in the future? I've heard of the Merlin 2 engine, which apparently is more powerful than 9 Merlin engines combined. So if you take 9 Merlin 2 engines and strap them on a Falcon 9, what do you end up with? And what do they need that will be that powerful? And would that be more powerful than a Saturn V? How awesome would that be? And is any of that real? I don't know.
And if you can form that into a concise question, please email
Because
that.
if you don't, that's what I'm going to ask him. He's going to be like, click, hang up.
My connections
can't
are really
hear you. I don't know what's
out.
Elonator? Elongator? No, guys, you got to work on that. There is a superhero name in here somewhere. You guys just got to help me. And if you come up with a superhero name, Twitter that to us as well.
We'll have to inform him of the superhero name we now have given him.
Oh yeah, we got to give him a superhero name. That's exactly
Because,
what we need.
we are Spacevidcast, and we can't just ask him the normal questions that everyone else does.
Next week on Spacevidcast, we've got another awesome guest from Apogee Books. It's going to be Dwight Stephen, which is Stephen. Actually, Stephen.
Yeah, I was gonna say his. Oh yeah, I know. It's Bonicki.
I'm terrible with pronouncing names.
Bonieckii.
Stephen will be joining us live. He's the author of.
No, it's Dwight. Dwight is his
Dwight.
first name.
Good night.
Dwight will be with us, and he
Dwight,
is the
I am so
author of Live TV from the Moon.
Which is going to be an awesome. Because when you think about this, when you were watching the Apollo moon landings, you didn't really think about it at the time.
Right.
But that was history in the making. What if they didn't take the weight of the camera with them to the moon? Because there was no requirement to broadcast TV from the moon, but they did. And not only did they broadcast, they changed it to color, and they got the little remote camera eventually, so they could tilt up.
And didn't it almost not work?
Well, in one time it didn't, where they just pointed it right at the sun and burnt out the.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a lot of different issues with that. All of which we will have to ask him because we one day will be broadcasting from the moon.
From the moon. We have to know what to do and what not to do and how to be awesome. All right, guys, that's our show. I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to sign up for Space Up DC at spaceupdc.org. Spaceupdc.org. Also, make sure to hit one of those final space shuttle missions, and we will see you guys right here. Missions.
Or the
you
missions.
Know, it's Cavate.
Yeah.
Cavate.
One of the cavats.
Next week. Cavats. Next week on our Cavat show.
It's time to look up. It's time to look up. In 1969, In 1970, our journey. We've never.
In 1969, a group of astronauts changed the world. They walked on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In 1972, our journey ended. We've never been back. 2010 begins a year of change. Private companies are working on next-generation spaceships. Governments are looking to go back to the moon and on to Mars. It's time to look up and dream again. It's time to push humans into the cosmos. It's time to educate and engage.
Whatnot.
Well, because I said, isn't it cold in space?
Well, it's cold and hot. It's both very cold and very hot in space. So what you need to do is be able to cool your equipment and make sure that everything's all temperature controlled. So
Right.
they use the ammonia lines. They've got these ammonia lines that they use as a way to dissipate heat and as a way to kind of do heat rejection. So we've got a shot. This is this is one of the spare tanks that they've got, and you can click the thingy. There you go. Spare pump module. There you go. And then you can actually see. Here's another shot that shows where they're going to be installing the tank. This is the replacement tank that they'll be going to. So you can see it's going to be going. There's the replacement pump module. That's going to be going right down there. And then we've got two spacewalkers. We've got. I've completely forgot their names.
Wow. I bet it'll say in the picture if Kath just clicks
Yeah,
on it.
drop the graphics. It's trouble on the ISS.
In 1969, a group of astronauts changed the world.
You can't have swap mode on because now when you go back. Ooh, you know, we're just going to keep going. So, if you haven't heard, the International Space Station, Loop A, or
Lupe.
cooling,
Like,
ammonia cooling,
Guadalupe.
ammonia cooling has suffered a failure, and
Yes.
they've actually got spare tanks that they've actually got four spare ammonia tanks,
Yeah.
and they're going to be swapping one of those out over the next couple of days with these spacewalks. And the reason this is a big deal is in space you need to kind of cool your equipment and go to the.
There you go.
Except
There's
that-
this guy.
I don't remember
There's
his
this
name.
guy.
Drop,
There's the IRC guy.
drop the IRC.
And then there's the Twitter
Douglas
guy.
is Douglas.
They do have names.
They do have names. No, wait, hang on. Go to the next picture. This is the best part. Look, she's like, why?
Super serious.
Look at that. She's like, don't take my picture.
Poor thing. Yes,
why,
it
why are
is
you taking my picture?
Tracy and Wheels, as most people know them as.
So they'll be going out. They're going to be fixing the ammonia pumps. Like I said, there are 4 spare units. It is kind of a big deal, though, right? I mean, you don't want to have this stuff fail. They actually had to shut down some systems on the ISS
Right.
when the problem first happened. I think it was this last Saturday, going into Sunday, essentially. And so, yeah, they're going to be. They pushed back the spacewalk to Friday, which is.
Age the planet. It's time for Spacevidcast.
Welcome to this news-packed episode of Spacevidcast 326 for Friday, August 6th, 2010. My name is Benjamin Higginbotham. With me, as always, is beautiful, lovely, wonderful, and talented Carrie Ann Higginbotham. We are your Spacevidcasters, and we're going to start off this episode with something that has been making the rounds in the media a little bit. They've been a little bit overly dramatic about it, and so we decided, you know, if you can't beat them, join